I don't need like an economist to tell me inflation's up. Like I stopped for lunch and I spent $15 and I got halfway home and I was already hungry again.
What was for lunch?
Got a couple tacos and a Coke, man. And I don't know, like I don't think you eat out as much as I do. I eat out all the time, but it's not just the prices. The portion sizes have been shrinking
Mm.
tremendously. And if you wonder what inflation would really be if they charged you for what the food's supposed to be. I bet these numbers go up significantly more.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
uh, where was it? I got oh, there's a restaurant. I might do an episode on this. They stopped selling their queso by the bowl or the cup. Now they just now they just sell it as an item. But they basically give you the cup. How much you think a cup of queso is going for, Kane?
What? Three?
Is like 9.30.
How big is this cup?
It's I wouldn't even consider it like a cup of soup. I got it, and I'm like, you gotta be out of your goddamn mind. That, and then I got tortillas with it to dip it in, so it ends up being like $15 for a little cup of queso and tortillas.
Oh wow.
And I'm like, they're charging more than for what they used to charge for the bowl. But it's like, see, they don't list the cup in the bowl anymore. They just say queso. Because if they just said cup of queso for $9, you would never buy it.
Yeah, right. Of course.
I would be like, go fork yourself. There's no way. And it's just like, but these are the games that I think a lot of people have to play right now because a bowl of queso probably like $15. And if they had to put that up there, then people just wouldn't buy it.
Yeah.
So it's like I see everywhere, everything's getting a little shorter everywhere you go. My Chipotle burrito, Kane, it's so small sometimes I got to order like a side of tacos. Not saying I wouldn't have done that anyways, okay? You know me. But there's no way. This burrito is so small. And okay, like I know what it used to be because I eat there 3, 4, 5 times a week. And I'm like, you just don't want to raise prices. So everything's a little bit shorter now. I got a double like brisket burrito, Kane. I think it was like $15. That is, I don't think that even include the drink.
Yikes.
So, but we know food's up like 30%,
Yeah.
right? We know gases. I just talked about another episode. The machine turn, the on American Express, if you get the right gas station, you can go up to $125 before the gas pump will turn off. I got to $125. I didn't even have a full tank yet. I needed 4 more gallons. And I'm like, I filled up my propane tank. Propane's up. Like, they're only tracking certain parts of the economy when it comes to inflation, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But the stuff that we consume, energy, food, the things we need to live, is going up astronomical.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. I was gonna raise 2 points when we saw this article, James. And the first is that these inflation numbers blew economists' expectations out of the water. So that's number one, which is how and why would when we talk about it all the time, we talk about inflation and how it affects our lives all the time. How is this mind-blowing that it's up this high? The second thing I wanted to bring up is that core price index. So there's a sentence on the screen right now. It says which excludes the often volatile categories of food and energy climbed 4.6. Just something about that, like tracking something like that. Like, why do we track inflation? It's to see, at least for most of us, to see how it affects our lives on a day-to-day basis. To remove food and energy and just kick out a number, it almost becomes like an irrelevant number for most of us. And it's almost too convenient to report a lower core price index. And like you said, we've been talking about it for weeks, where my grocery bill is definitely up 30%. And so why doesn't it reflect stuff like that? It's too convenient.
yeah, the stuff we need to survive.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But there's no sitting office that ever wants to report that. It doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. Like no one wants to be on the hook for a 30% increase in food prices.
Right.
But a little thing that now that this chart's here, I know I'll come back, but I did an episode I'm going to publish trying to map out like just what it costs to live and like trying to save money. But do you think you could eat for $10 a day right now?
Just the queso.
Yeah,
No.
do you think? I mean, I don't know. You're like half my size. You could probably get away with that. That's like breakfast for me. But I'm thinking like, and I could have swore I just saw a pound of ground chuck for $4.99, and ground chuck's usually pretty cheap. And I'm like, dude, a pound of ground chuck's $5, and it's like the like chicken's way up. And you think about what can I get for how much chicken and rice can I eat for $10 a day? Probably a reasonable amount. But it would basically be just chicken and rice.
Yeah, seriously.
So how much does it really cost the average person to not eat anything fancy, just eat a reasonable, not even like super healthy meal, just a reasonable amount of food that's not complete garbage, and get the calories they need every day right now? It's like, I don't think they can do it for $10.
Yeah.
It's like I hear like my friend went to McDonald's with his family, and it was like 5 of them, and it's $50. It's $10 a person to go to McDonald's. Dude, one fry cane's $3.50, one large fry.
Yeah.
And you start thinking about, it hurts people that got, the upper middle class and above. But if you're making like 35 grand a year right now between gas and food, this hurts.
I just can't imagine. Yeah.
But looking at this chart, just for the fun of it, 1990, that slim recession we had, you see the spike recession. You saw 2000, we saw that work up. Now that a lot of that inflation in the 90s was booming, tech money, people were getting paid. Supply and demand, things go up. Oh, crash. Going to 2008. Starts rocketing up. Crash. Take the pandemic out of here, which they don't even show the gray area on the chart for the crash last year. Where are we headed?
Yeah, you're right. Big crash.
Not saying we will, but this sure doesn't look good. Because I don't think we're done here.
Oh, that's really interesting, actually. You make a great point, because you're right. If you just chart up against 08, that looks awfully similar to what we're going through. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it's people complained about, the slow recovery during the Obama years, but I thought that's what we needed to do. We didn't need another bounce back boom. It would have led to another crash. You bounce back, steady decline there. Unemployment was dropping, wasn't great. Things were getting better. Trump got in. Things weren't great. It was getting a little better. We were trying to trend in the right direction because we're trying not to do this continuous cycle of boom and bust. It's good for nobody, unless you're Wall Street and you know how to play that game. But you see that downward trend, but every time we got a spike, oh no.
Yeah, it's true.
But is this peak inflation? I don't know, man. We know this isn't factoring in certain things that are getting like bombarded right now, but it gets cyclical. Right now, we see on the employment side of things where wages are going way up. Now, wages go way up, price of goods and services go up. We've not completed that full cycle yet. We're dealing with the talent end of that right now. And then it's going to get baked into the cost of the goods. And then things are going to get more expensive. And then people are going to say, I'm not making enough money. Things are so expensive. So then we're going to have to go back and raise wages again. Do you see where you can get in this vicious cycle of hyperinflation then?
Yeah.
Now, someone that was making 30 grand a year is now making 50. Deflation happens. Are you ever going to convince that person to do the same job again for 30?
No way. No way.
Ugly place to be in, man. I'm worried that, are we going to see this thing up 8.5, 9+% before the bust?
Mm.
Because I don't
Yeah.
think we're done.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't look like we've really experienced what that looks like, at least in recent history. That'll be interesting.
It's it shot up and then it had a pause there for like a month. And it's like, psych, boom, and it gets shot back up. Like it's
Yeah.
they it threw us a head fake real quick. And the stock market crazy, housing market crazy, crypto's crazy. We know savings are dropping. We know there's supply chain issues. We know we overconsume. We know the energy prices, food prices, wage issues is going to have a major effect on the economy overall. How do we go from here? Usually this is the sign of the end of a boom, by the way. If you think about it.
Yeah.
Usually a boom is what leads to this. And it was. We just had $6 trillion pumped in the system.
Right.
It was, it was a massive amount of just money dumped in. And that happened. The spike happened. That is what usually causes these spikes. And then as the money kind of gets pulled out of the system, you see that thing, it starts to drop back down. Things kind of normalize. So where do we go from here?
Yeah, you brought up a really profound point. I'm still kind of sitting on it, James, but you kind of drew out that, you get inflation, you get wages get hiked once, and then it gets hiked a second time, and then it's hard to convince people to come off that secondary hike. I mean, what then happens at that point when people are at 50 when they were at 30, same value, and they won't move off that 50? What then happens to the economy?
I mean, that's what I think, we talked about in the other episode with China talking about storing up on food and like a food panic and what happens if we have major economic turmoil here, if there is some kind of depression or bust. I don't know. I think we're already struggling with the workforce issues right now. And I don't know how we bounce back from it. I don't know how you get people back to work. But the staffing shortage, combined with the inflation issue, is one hell of a recipe, right?
Yeah.
And the crazy part is what's going to happen is people that are making 30 are going to make 50, and everything's going to get more expensive. And even though they're making 50, because everything got more expensive, their quality of life hasn't changed. The only thing changed is the numbers. And your wage is going to buy the same amount of McDonald's that it used to. It's just you're making more and the food costs more. And it's a cycle that I don't know how we break right now. But that's where we're at right now. So is this the peak? I don't know, man. We're going into Christmas season right now. They're trying to push through a something $1 trillion bill. Wages are skyrocketing. We're continuing to consume. Is there any end in sight for energy prices right now?
No.
Dude, energy prices go up, everything goes up. Ford, I think, went and chose a plant to build a new plant outside of Michigan because the electricity was like 2 cents per kilowatt cheaper.
Yeah.
I'm sure that wasn't the only factor, but think about how much energy it takes to manufacture stuff.
Yeah.
So if your kilowatts are going up that much, how much more? And your labor, your energy costs more to manufacture, your labor costs more. Dude, John Deere, they just put out a package. I think it got rejected. Yeah, it got rejected. 10% increase in pay, an $8,500 signing bonus to sign the contract. You already worked there, right? To sign the new contract, you get an $8,500 signing bonus, 10%, 2 more raises, and then 2 more 3% payouts in 6 years.
Oh,
how much more do you think?
Didn't go through.
How much more do you think that's going to make the John Deere equipment cost?
Yeah.
And if you know John Deere equipment, it's already expensive. Man. So it's like, I don't think this is done, and I know nothing about economics. Just what I'm seeing in the real world says we got a little ways to go. Energy goes up, the cost of the cost to manufacture your goods go up. Energy goes up, then all your transportation costs associated with those goods go up. The staff at the store wages go up, cost of that goods and services go up.
Yeah.
Oil goes up. Do we think that oil only goes in engines? Have you ever looked at from fertilizer to plastic, everything that we own? You know, how much oil is part of our life? Fertilizer goes up, price of crops go up. Price of crop goes up even more because it costs even more to transport it. This is why energy kills us sometimes. It just makes everything, when oil's up, everything's just more expensive, dude.
Yeah.
Food, transportation, every CPG item, every item in the store you buy, every piece of food, almost everything you do, when energy goes up, we all pay a price. So I think we're not even, you know, if that's true, then there were 6 months before seeing the real effects of these increases.
Yeah. I'm still stuck on the mix that you said, which is inflation and then the labor shortage and what that all means.
Maybe we get out of it, but it is one hell of a cycle to get into once you start.
Yeah.
Because what now, Kane? Now people are going to look at John Deere and say, "Well, John Deere just got 10% 8,500. I want 10% 8,500."
Yeah. Right.
And that's going to force the next company to do it. So now they got to raise their prices. They raise their prices, and the next person is like, "Well, I can't afford this stuff." So they go back to their employer again, and now I need another raise, because it's a very bad cycle to get into.
Oh wow.
And it doesn't happen instantly. It's got like layers to it. I think we're just peeling back the first layer. So all I know is, like, if I want a Coke and a fry, it's like $6 or something, right? It's like,
yeah.
It's like ridiculous. I can't get a full tank of diesel for $125. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And OPEC say
sorry, go on, Jim.
Nope, go ahead.
I was gonna say that I think I bought some, like, a couple boxes of Cheez-Its and some Goldfish and like a Diet Coke 12-pack, and I spent like $40 the other day.
You got like a little metal lunchbox you pack it all in?
No.
You got like a little thermos? It sounds like you're packing a child's lunch. Like, you got some Cheez-Its and some Goldfish, and like you got a fruit cup?
Eat like eat like a 3-year-old, yeah.
Hey man, it's probably the best. You probably got some like Kraft mac and cheese, like, man, I don't.
Well, Lunchables.
I'd probably eat a Lunchable right now if the store had them in stock. The store doesn't have them in stock. My dad wanted some Lunchables. He can't get them. He's like, "Have you seen the Lunchables?" Like, I can't say that I look for Lunchables. I go look and, like, you know, turkey and ham Lunchables. I'm like, I can get you the pizza one. And he's like, "Who the hell wants a pizza Lunchable?" And I'm like, "Well, you're 80 years old. I'm assuming you don't, right?" You know, the dude's probably got like boar's head, like ham and turkey and cheese in his refrigerator, and like a nice loaf of Panera bread I dropped off. And, you know, this mofo wants to eat a goddamn Lunchable.
The perfectly circle ham piece or the perfectly circle cheese piece.
Yeah, it's like, you know, stacked up, like, I don't know. Like, it's like, this what happens. Then people get older, they like turn into little kids. Like, you're a goddamn little kid right now. Like, what the hell am I gonna do with you? We'll see what happens. I know we're gonna keep talking about this. We called this months ago.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it. We keep talking about it. It ain't rocket science. You seen it coming. You know, it's crazy, like you said. These are the people that are supposed to know what's going on, and they're surprised.
Yeah.
So how could I take anything you say seriously? Because it feels like even in 2008, they're talking about, you know, 2007, how strong the economy is, and no one other than Michael Burry seen this thing blowing up.
Right.
It's like, well, why am I supposed to trust all you academics, all you quote unquote professionals, all you people with the big PhDs and the math degrees? You didn't see it coming. And then you didn't see this coming. So why do we listen to anything you say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At this point, your predictions are worthless. Like, we can step back and just say things are really expensive and it's going to get worse before it gets better. I don't need a PhD to say that.
Yeah.
Um, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Crazy times. It's just crazy times to be living through.
I don't know. Stock up on your Cheetos, I guess. I don't know.
Oh dear.
You get the white cheddar or you get the regular ones?
We got hot and spicy. Is that a flavor? I think I got some of those.
I don't think I ever done the hot and spicy. It's
No, the goldfish are the ones that I really like. They're fantastic.
I've had those a couple times recently, and I'm always like the cheddar ones, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
man, and I bite into them like this is a dry ass cracker. Like it doesn't do nothing for me. But I still like the regular Cheez-Its, but the white cheddar is where it's at. That's
Yeah.
that's the aristocrat Cheez-It right there. Like that's a highbrow. You made it in life if you got the white cheddar Cheez-It. Like I don't know.
White cheddar Cheez-Its, yeah. Cheez-Its and coffee in the morning is like a really interesting combination. It's pretty satisfying.
I mean, I eat some strange things for breakfast, but I can't say I had Cheez-Its and coffee.
Yeah.
Wow, you saw those people who are putting butter in their coffee.
Oh yeah.
They call it bulletproof coffee. And I'm like, I'll take a buttery croissant. But like, I want to put half a stick of Kerrygold in my coffee. What are you doing?
Yeah. Goodness.
No thanks, man. All right, that's all I got. I'm gonna catch you.
Sounds good.